Hello, broadcasters. Welcome to episode 251 of the StreamYard Live Town Hall. My name's Geige, and I'm here with Dan, of course. Dan, how are you doing?
No, I'm doing good. How you doing?
I'm doing well. It's been a good week. We have some exciting stuff to announce tonight, so looking forward to that. For anyone new here, Dan and I are the founders of StreamYard, and we do these town halls every single Sunday at 6 p.m. Pacific. And we do them for a few reasons. One is to stay in tune with all of you, go through the same flow that you all do with your own shows and productions. Two is to answer any of your questions. That's why we're calling it Ask StreamYard. So if there's anything that you'd like us to touch on tonight, feel free to leave it in the chat. We'll do our best to get to as many as we possibly can. And I always mention the three pillars of StreamYard, which are ease of use, stability, and professional stream. So if you're about those three things, StreamYard is the tool for you. See folks tuning in from all over the world tonight. It's great to have all of you here. We have Brent, as usual, from Maine. Great to have you here, Brent. I think I saw some folks from Brazil as well. Before I forget, we have some awesome shows on StreamYard. We have YouTube channel reviews with Dee and Daniel the second Saturday of every month. Really great show. If you're looking to grow on YouTube, both of them are pros when it comes to all things video. And it's really fun where they give sort of specific feedback on individual channels to help with ideas around, thinking about your particular niche, how to interpret your analytics. A lot of great stuff in that show. And then we have Enhance Your Live Streams the last Tuesday of the month with Nick Nibbin, who again is a pro when it comes to all things video, but check that one out for your specific live streaming questions. And then one thing we've been doing at the start of these so that we get to know a little bit more about you and you get to know a little bit more about us is a fun fact. And the fun fact we had for tonight was favorite snack. Do you have a favorite snack, Dan?
Tend to mix it up quite a bit. I would say all time. Actually, it's the same answer as last week. I think last week we're asking what's your favorite fruit. I think bananas are my favorite snack.
Right on. Yeah, like you, I definitely go through different phases of things, but one I feel like I come back a lot to is maybe grapes. I like grapes a lot.
Okay. Yeah, you also like these frozen grapes, which is quite.
I do like frozen grapes. Yeah, I think you got to make them like a. I don't know how you describe it. They're interesting when they're frozen.
Yeah.
All right. I see we already have a couple questions for tonight, so let's get into those. And then after that, we'll talk about the new feature announcement, which we're really excited about. See some good snacks. We got popcorn, peanut butter, and crackers. That sounds good.
Yeah, a lot of peanut butter in here.
Cool. Ricky says, when will you allow overlay videos for recording? So I assume you already know this, Ricky, but for anyone who doesn't, so you can, if you're using StreamYard just for recording, you can use video clips or screen share to have like a video as part of the live stream. But I assume you're talking about like essentially being able to upload like a .mov or an overlay in that sense. And it is possible to do with GIFs. So like you can actually upload like a GIF to have a sort of animated section and an animated overlay on top of the screen. But I know having a video, there's a lot of advantage to having a video. I don't have a particular date for you, but it is something that we're actively exploring and working on and we'll hopefully support soon.
Yep.
Cool. We have one here from Paolo says, hello, Geige. Hello to you, Paolo. Will we see vertical live streaming in StreamYard in the very near future? Do you want to take that one, Dan?
Yeah, I can definitely answer that. So I'm not sure if you've ever tried it now, but if you stream to specifically Instagram or TikTok now, we do kind of pad it where we like blur things out so that you can multi-stream to say YouTube and it'll be 16:9 and Instagram or TikTok will be 9:16. But just to be clear, because I assume we'll get people asking about Instagram and TikTok as soon as I say this, very few people have access to stream to Instagram and TikTok from third-party apps, so from tools like StreamYard. If you want to stream to Instagram, almost everyone has to do it on the Instagram app, unfortunately, and then same with TikTok. But a few people do have access to stream to Instagram and TikTok through StreamYard. This isn't something we give access to. It's just Instagram and TikTok are limited for now. Hopefully they open it up. But if you're asking about streaming portrait to those platforms, first of all, most people don't have access. But if you do, we do have kind of like a nice blur effect that we do for it. And then other than that, we have also considered just having more of like an optimized portrait studio where the whole studio kind of adjusts for it. And it would mostly be, I think, for the recording use case because not that many platforms that we can integrate with are 9:16. They're all like wide 16:9. So it is something we're interested in, and more optimized. 9x16, but we don't have a timeline for it or anything right now.
Cool. Melnet says, will you add music to the StreamYard giveaway? So you can actually use StreamYard's built-in music functionality while you're doing the giveaway. We tried it a couple times and we just ended up maybe that is an argument that we should make it easier to do at the same time, because it was just kind of some extra steps. So technically you can do it. It's just not part of the giveaway tool itself, but we are open to, maybe making that easier.
Yeah, we might have that. I just want to make sure that like whatever sound we choose works for everybody. But I think, yeah, some kind of drum roll type thing like we used to experiment with could work. We might add that.
Cool. Chantel says, will we be able to pop out chat so we can have both chat and brand tab open at the same time? It's definitely something we're open to, Chantel. And like I've been alluding to a few times in the past, as part of sort of keeping things simple, but also adding a lot of depth for folks that are looking to really customize more aspects of the stream. That type of functionality is sort of part of that thinking, because there are many folks who would like to be able to see things like, banners and branding at the same time. So definitely something that is on our minds. Don't have a particular date for it, but it is something that we're open to. Michael says, how about half-page comments or full-page comments? So we aren't looking at people's bald spot. Nice to see you here, Michael. Yeah, it's definitely something we're open to, Michael, especially as we add more themes and whatnot, to potentially sort of give sort of more visual variety when it comes to stuff like the comments. I would be if you've already sent it, forgive me, I'll have to double check the emails, but if you have any example of like visually what you'd be thinking for that, it'd be useful for me to see that. I'd be curious.
Yeah, I'm curious if you wanted to completely cover everyone or like hide the videos as well, and how big the text would be.
Cool. Home Rapid Repair, I see your question about the Elgato face cams. I'm not super familiar with that particular device. I would probably just, if you go to StreamYard.com/contact and go to the live chat there, they will probably be the most helpful for just troubleshooting with you on that particular device. Let's see what else we had here. Mark Hirschberger says, can you explain the StreamYard app just for iOS? Yeah, that was one of our subjects for tonight, Mark, but I can briefly talk about it now. So yeah, in case you missed the last couple episodes of the town hall, we did recently release a StreamYard app. And the whole reason we launched the app was when it comes to specifically Safari, it's always been sort of difficult to work with Safari just in terms of their support for sort of the video technology that StreamYard uses. So we came to the conclusion that to give folks like the best possible experience on an iOS device, that it would be good to have a native option in it. We still support the browser for iOS, but to give them the best possible stability and quality when it comes to things like audio and whatnot, a native app is something we wanted to launch. So that was the main reason, is to give the best possible experience if you are on an iOS device. For now, it is just for iOS, and also specifically just for guests. So it's just for guest support. We thought that was the most critical piece to start with, is to make sure that folks joining as a guest could have the best possible sort of audio and video quality. But we are working on a producer version as well for iOS. And when it comes to Android, it's something we're open to, but nothing like official yet in terms of like a date or anything like that. And the other cool thing about the app is it does unlock some other interesting stuff too, like the ability, again, it's not out yet, but it will give us the ability to do things like support virtual green screens to what else, Dan? What else?
So touch-up filter eventually. And
right.
Like you said, that's not something we have. Screen sharing eventually. One we already have is USB mic support. So right now, if you're using just the browser with iOS Safari, you can use the built-in mic, obviously, but you can't, if you plug in an external USB mic, you can't actually use that in the browser. Safari just doesn't support it. But with the native app, you can actually use those external mics. So for example, if you're at a conference, you have like an external mic that you've like attached to your shirt and you're walking around, maybe interviewing people, talking to people, you can actually use that external mic and plug it into your phone, which is pretty handy.
Cool. But yeah, if folks have any questions or suggestions about the app, definitely let us know. If you have had a chance to use it, we'd be curious how it went for you. One thing that did come up last time is like, is like the app what we should be using instead of the desktop version? And no, if you can use the desktop version, that's definitely what we'd recommend, is just using it directly on on Chrome from your desktop device. But if you are joining, as a guest from an iOS device, that the app should be the way to go.
Yep. Yeah, for example, if you're inviting a guest to your show, we'd still recommend telling them to use a computer with Chrome. That's going to be the best experience. But if they don't have a computer or something, they only have an iPhone, then I would recommend the app instead of joining on Safari. And we will start prompting people quite soon to download the app on iOS Safari, just because it will be a better experience. They won't have to download it, but we'll start recommending it.
Cool. I see lots of other questions here. Let's do a couple more, but I want to make sure we have time to talk about the new feature. So we'll do a couple more, talk about the feature, and then get back to questions. Let's see here. Ryan says you're having trouble getting graphics to activate during the stream. So you should be able to activate like just by clicking the overlays, have them pop up at any time. Same with the banners. If you're having trouble with that, I would go to the 24/7 live chat at StreamYard.com/contact.
Yeah, one kind of related question to iOS here. Rob was just saying you can't open StreamYard within Safari. So just to be clear, on iPhones and iPads, you can. So in fact, it's the only browser we support on those devices, just because it's really the only one that supports the underlying technology. But if you're on a Android device or a computer or something, then we don't support Safari, just because it's kind of similar reason to why we launched this app was Safari's video technology is just not great, and it's always a much better experience on Chrome or even Firefox. So that's why we purposely don't support it on computers, but on iOS, it was the only option until we launched this app.
Cool. Let's see here. David says,
sorry.
Did you click it, Dan? David says, any Twitch integration features planned for the future, alerts, etc.? Yeah, that's a good question, David. I don't have any dates for any of them, but I certainly would like to go a lot deeper when it comes to our Twitch integration. And similar to some of the functionality we've added with YouTube and whatnot, make sure that we pull that type of stuff from Twitch in as well. So yeah, no dates or anything, but we would like to, when it comes to all the platforms that we support as much as we can through the API. So hopefully we'll have some more to announce there in the future. Chris from Budgeting Just Because says, question, did you guys just add the icon on the comments to show where the person is watching the stream from? I just noticed it Saturday. No, we should probably make it a little bit more obvious. You can't actually do that, Chris. But if it's what I think you're talking about, when you hover over the viewer count, you can actually see like how many people are watching on each platform.
I think this was comments Chris is referring to.
Oh, okay. If that's
we do have that as well.
So it depends which one you're asking. Maybe let us know. But yeah, when it comes to the viewer count, if you scroll over the viewer count, you can't actually see like how many people are watching on like Facebook, YouTube, etc. But both of them have been up there for a while, but the viewer one is sort of a hard one to discover.
Yeah, the comments one we've always showed as well.
Cool. So we'll get back to questions in just a second here, but I want to talk about the new feature for tonight, which has come up a few times in the past. So hopefully some folks have been anticipating it and are excited for it. And that new feature is markers. So basically what this does is when you're in the middle of a stream, oftentimes, there's probably parts where to make your life easier in the post-production process or the editing process, whether it's a live stream or you're just doing a recording, being able to sort of mark when certain events took place can be super handy when you're doing editing to, remind yourself of like, okay, there's a blip here that I need to fix, or maybe something really good happened here that I want to make sure that I capture. And that's exactly what this feature is for. You want to talk a little bit more about it, Dan?
For sure. Yeah, so it's super simple to use, and we'll be rolling it out later this week. So you'll see a little pop-up when you enter the studio that kind of explains how it works, but it's very, very straightforward. So basically, if let's say there's an interesting moment, like, maybe I'm, Geige and I are co-hosting this, and Geige says something quite interesting that I think, we probably want to, create a short or something related to that topic. You just press B on your keyboard. It's a hotkey, B as in beta. So you press B. You can also change it. It's like any other hotkey. If you go into the hotkey setting, you can change the key you want to use. But by default, it's B unless you already have something bound to that key. You press that, and it'll show you a little marker or a little banner that says, hey, we just created a marker. And then after the show, if you go into the StreamYard editor, it will basically show all the places you put markers. So you can just quickly click on those and scroll through and find the place that you just marked. So it just makes it a little faster to find whatever you're looking for afterwards.
Should I show the picture for you, Dan?
Yes.
So we got a quick picture of it here. Let me hide this banner. And for many folks, I think you may not actually even know that StreamYard has an editor. So if this looks completely new to you, we actually have had this editor for a bit of time now. So whenever you complete a live stream or a recording, you always have the option to make changes to it in the StreamYard editor simply by, I mean, there's a few different ways you can access it, but just by clicking sort of the drop down after the recording or stream is over, you can enter this editor. And you can see, just like Dan mentioned there, those little sort of above the audio waveform there, you can see those little those blue tags, which indicate this is where, you know, a marker was placed throughout the stream or recording.
Yep. Yeah, and I see some questions about whether like this is just with the StreamYard editor or if you can export these. So right now this is just for the StreamYard editor, basically the picture Geige just showed. We will probably explore whether we can add it for exports as well, and specifically for the local recording exports we have, where for those either familiar, if you do a local recording, you've got the separate tracks, you can then export that to different programs. We'll probably see if we can get the markers in there as well, but this first version doesn't have that. It's just in the StreamYard editor.
Cool. Yeah, so hopefully it's a welcome addition from you guys. But if there's anything specific you'd like to see, like Dan mentioned, I'm seeing a lot of requests for the export. So definitely something we're open to. I think it would make sense to have a way for that to integrate, you know, timestamp wise with the editors that we integrate with.
Yep.
Let's see what else we had here. Question here from Katrine says, haven't been on in a while. Well, it's good to have you back, Katrine. Have a question. Is there a time limit to the replay on webinars? We had a 17-hour program, but folks are finding the replay only has 10 hours. Yes, sorry for the confusion on that one, Katrine. So there is a limit on how long each individual recording is on StreamYard that would apply to a webinar. And the length is slightly different, but depending on the plan, right, Dan? So I believe
it's 10 hours on everything except the business plan.
Okay, so it would be up to 10 hours. So only the first 10 hours is going to be recorded. It's cool that you did a 17-hour program, though. That's quite a program. I'd be curious, like, what kind of webinar it was. But if you do need to have it be that length of time, I mean, the only way you'd be able to work around it with StreamYard now is to sort of split it up into 2 segments, which hopefully wouldn't be too disruptive, because I mean, 17 hours is pretty long. I assume that you maybe had some breaks or something, but if not, let me know. I'd be curious to learn more about like your use case there.
Yep.
Josher says, does StreamYard have a Discord or forum for people to share tips/info? There aren't very many focused on live streaming. We do. We don't specifically have a Discord, but we do have a Facebook group, which is pretty active. So if you go to Facebook and just type in StreamYard official community, it should pop right up. There's lots of, you know, super helpful folks in there. If you're looking, you know, for ideas when it comes to like your branding or tips in general, there's lots of awesome people there. Matt says we did our first StreamYard stream and it went excellent. Awesome, Matt. Super happy to hear that.
Cool.
Alex says, I'm having problems with the guest channel downloading fast. It takes forever. I'd be curious, Alex, what exactly you mean by the guest channel. If you could let us know if you mean maybe the local recordings, like downloading the local recordings, or if you mean something else entirely, please let us know.
Yep.
Either way, support is probably a good one to help you with that, and just look into the individual, because they'll be able to get more information than us in the middle of the show. So I would go to streamyard.com/contact. And if you have the particular recording ID, they can troubleshoot with you. See a couple more folks asking about plans for an app for Android. It's definitely something we're open to if requests become more frequent. Like we mentioned at the beginning, the number one concern was sort of addressing the issues is kind of a strong word, but the lack of sort of like features and whatnot in Safari that has not been nearly as much of a problem when it comes to Android, which is much better supported, but it is something that we're open to. Yep. Studio 1209 group says download to DaVinci soon. So I may be confused about like maybe the version of DaVinci or something Studio, but we do have a integration with DaVinci, right, Dan?
For local recording, yes. Yep.
So if you could maybe clarify, Studio, if there's like a different version that you're thinking of, or if you just haven't seen it yet, let us know.
But yeah, I believe if you do a local recording, it's Premiere, After Effects, and DaVinci that you can export files to.
Cool. Elizabeth says, nice to see you, Elizabeth. What is backup audio recording when you are downloading your show. Do you want to take that one, Dan?
Yeah, definitely. Okay, so there's the main, I'll just explain what all of them are. So there's like the main cloud recording, which is the video and audio recording. That's kind of the most common one people will use. There's then a mixed recording, which is also the cloud. When I say mixed, it's in like all the participants. So mixed means Geige and I. It has all of our audio in one. The one you're referring to, the backup audio, is basically a backup for local recordings. So with local recordings, if Geige and I had it on right now, we would each be uploading audio and video separately, and then you can download our tracks separately if you want to edit them afterwards. But if, say, maybe something goes on with my device, there's like a weird issue with my device, we do also record a backup version of audio on our servers, so that if you have some kind of weird issue with the local recording, for me specifically, you can download my backup audio recording. It's not going to be quite as high quality, but it's basically an alternative or a backup to the local recordings. But it is separate, so it's separate for each person. If you just want something that's kind of mixed and has everyone's audio in there, you'd still just use the cloud audio recording.
Cool.
Hopefully that makes sense.
Awesome, Chris. Glad you're excited about markers. Yeah, shorts totally makes sense as a use case, that if you're doing in the middle of your sort of live stream, that you want to be able to repurpose afterwards to remind yourself of like when something that made good short content came up. Let's see here. Creative Lady says, when using guest destinations, does the other guest get watch hours from their channels? Thanks. Yes. So it's treated like its very own live stream, right? So the host, it's like the way that this question is often asked is like, does the host get watch hours? So the host wouldn't. Like, the host is only going to get watch hours for their own stream, not from the guest stream, but the guest will get watch hours for the stream that is on their own channel, right, Dan?
Yep. Yeah, it's almost as if they just stream separately.
Yep. Awesome, Beauty Bubble. Appreciate that. Glad it was a good experience on the iPad.
Cool.
Ethan says, how do I get the watermark up top to look like yours? So you should have full flexibility there, Ethan. If you are having trouble getting it to look exactly how you want, you could, instead of using the logo option, you could use the overlay option. I believe we are using the logo option, but if you just mean in terms of like placement, you're not able to get it exactly where you want, you could essentially just make a transparent 1280 by 720 overlay, and that way you can sort of have full control over where you want to place the watermark.
Yeah, and just to kind of show you some examples. So if you're on the free plan, first of all, you'll get this, and that's the only option for logos. But as soon as you're on a paid plan, you can customize it to whatever you want. So if you uploaded like a larger, in our case, StreamYard logo, you get something quite large like this, but then you could also take kind of a transparent PNG area and just put your logo in the top corner if you want it to be smaller, which is basically what we have here. So that's why it looks smaller.
Cool. Let's see here. Real Talk Sports says, we do sports. Can you add a scoreboard overlay? Also, how about MOV file uploading? Yeah, so the MOV file uploading came up a bit earlier, Real Talk, and it's something that we absolutely want to support and that we're actively exploring. When it comes to scoreboard overlays, I think it's a really cool use case. Like, it's awesome to see all the cool sports shows we have on StreamYard. And we have talked about how we can support it, and we are actively looking into sort of ways to, when it comes to sort of more customizable things like scoreboards or different sort of types of extensions, giving folks a way to sort of do that on their own. So I don't know if that's helpful, but basically I don't think we're going to have like a scoreboard overlay feature, but we likely are going to eventually have something that sort of allows you to make your own overlay that would allow you to support that use case, like be able to bring in, the score data and have it update automatically. I think you'll be super happy with what we ultimately are envisioning for it. Let's see here. FO Show says, I've been using StreamYard for several months and love it, but I had a question. Does local recording have an option for 4K? And if not, is this something for the future? So local recording does not have 4K yet, but it is something that we're looking into adding in the future. So stay tuned on that. Should we go ahead and start queuing up the giveaway, Dan, while I do a few more questions here?
Definitely.
Bonnie says, is there any way that you can keep the title what it is when you upload a video? It makes you rename it. And if you're uploading 20 10-minute videos before a show, it is time consuming. Thank you.
It makes you rename it. So we should, assuming you're talking about the brand tab with video clips, we should use the name from your file system. So you shouldn't have to rename it. But I'm not sure if that is what you're talking about. If you're talking about maybe like uploading a video at the bottom or something like that, maybe let us know.
Yeah, if you don't mind, Bonnie. Diz says, love using StreamYard for our podcast. Makes the show very dynamic. Awesome, Lawrence. Super happy to hear that. Cool. I'll do a few more here, but just to make sure folks are familiar with how the giveaway works, towards the end of these, we always do a giveaway. And tonight we'll give away one of those StreamYard pillows that I have in the background there, along with since Dan is wearing it, why don't we do a StreamYard sweater? And to be eligible, all you have to do is type in hashtag the yards. So we'll give you, 10 or 15 seconds or so to get in your hashtag the yards. And if you're ever keen on running a giveaway like this yourself, we actually made this tool available at StreamYard.com/giveaway, and there's a video there sort of walking you through how you can use it. Let's see here. I see quite a few questions about dark mode. Definitely understand that that's a super popular request, so it is something we'd like to support in the future.
And for the giveaway, it is case insensitive.
Yeah.
So if you're typing it in with caps, I just saw a question about that. It's case insensitive, and if you're doing your own giveaway, same thing. And we kind of explained that on the giveaway page. And you can only enter once.
Leonard says, would love the option of 3 cameras without having to use another computer or anything. Is that coming in the future? Love StreamYard, by the way. I've been using it faithfully for 3 years. Well, it's awesome to have you here so long, Leonard. Yeah, when it comes to having something like 3 cameras, it's definitely something we're open to. Not so long ago, we did have the option to have 1 additional camera. Usually the way folks will tackle this is just by using something like the name is escaping me, but one of those video
mixer.
Yeah, there's like video mixers that are pretty popular, like the
like an ATEM.
Yeah, an ATEM Mini is pretty popular, where if you have a bunch of cameras, you can sort of plug all of those into the ATEM Mini and then have the ATEM Mini going into your computer. I'm surprised, or not surprised, I'm curious, Leonard, if that's something that you've tried or you prefer to just do things in software. Definitely understand, though, that if you are doing it in software, that it can be cumbersome to be using like multiple apps to get in cameras. So something that we're open to and will continue to think about for sure.
Yep. Yeah. One of the things we're just mindful of too is like if you're actually capturing 3 separate cameras and having to basically upload all of that video content at once, it can be a little hard on your machine, which is why something like a switcher can be pretty good, just because it kind of takes a lot of that load for you, so it's not on your computer. But then also one downside is you only have 1 feed, whereas assume maybe you want 3 cameras because you actually want to show 3 separate feeds at once. So yeah, we're open to adding something like that. But yeah, it can be a little hard on your computer as well.
Cool. I think it's stabilized, Dan. Should we go ahead and run it?
Cool. Let's do it. Good luck, everyone. Yeah, that's where we need the drum roll.
Yeah, I should have played it this time. Top Cat, thanks so much for tuning in tonight and hanging out with us. If you could send an email to contact@streamyard.com, the team can work with you on shipping you your brand new StreamYard pillow and your StreamYard sweater. Congrats again.
We do also, by the way, we do have a merchandise store. I know some people often ask, like, can I just buy some of this StreamYard merchandise? We do have a store. You don't have to just win it from the giveaway. Of course, it is a pretty fun way to win it, though.
On that note as well, Bob said, can we get a hookup with your merch for a giveaway and how? If you are like looking to include StreamYard as part of a giveaway for something you're doing, sometimes like the marketing team would be interested to help you out with that. So if you just send an email to marketing@streamyard.com, they can potentially work with you.
Yep.
Cool. And on that note, this was episode 251 of the StreamYard Live Town Hall. There were so many awesome questions tonight. Sorry we didn't get the chance to get to all of them, but Dan and I will read through all of them afterwards. It's always a pleasure getting the chance to hang out with you. Thank you so much for hanging out with us. We'll see you next week at the same time, Sunday at 6 p.m. Pacific.
Cool. Yeah, and happy Halloween for everyone that celebrates it coming up soon.
Oh, yeah, forgot about Halloween. Happy Halloween.
See everyone.